Okay, we're set.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks. Hi, everybody. Tonight, we're welcoming Kathy Shea of the Owings Mills, the Spring Valley Garden Club from Owings Mills, Maryland. I always get
Yeah.
that confused.
Yep.
And she and another GCA person have written an incredible position paper, which hopefully we've all had a chance to read, on image resolution, image size, and file size in digital photography. And we all seem to be having a lot of issues with sizing our photographs for virtual entry into shows, but also getting the best resolution for our photographs, which will be presented live. So I'm welcoming Kathy. Thank you so much for being willing to join us and to guide us through this. And thanks everybody for joining us. We're thrilled that you're here.
Thanks, guys. I'm really excited. I'm so impressed that you all have so many members that are interested in photography. Our club has a good amount, but it is, I don't know that anybody would get, 15 people on an evening chat. So it's really impressive. So I guess I've been a member since like 2006. And when we did shows, of course, they were probably like yours, they were all printed. And you had, I think I probably started printing my own initially, but then started going to someone in town to have them print them. And I did use Photoshop mostly because I had a camera instead of the phone. But with the virtual, it was kind of nice not having to deal with the printer guy, because in Baltimore, I was saying we don't really have that many companies that print images. And if they do, they're really specialized. So I've ended up using like Walmart and Kinko's and things like that. So I'm sure I don't know what you guys have done, but we're going back to having a printed photography show this year also. So it'll be interesting to see. I got to get back into it, But it sounds like with the virtual shows, you guys are having trouble sizing. And I think you're saying that you were having trouble getting it within that requirement of 1 to 5 megabytes.
Correct.
Okay. So were you having a difficulty determining the size of it, or were your images or emailing them, or?
I think it's all of the above.
Okay.
All of the above.
So maybe one thing we might want to do is go through, make sure that your settings are correct on your phone.
Oh.
Okay. So let me share a screen. And I'm going to put my phone up. Oh, let's see. Here we go. So on settings, you can go down to your camera.
Where's my camera?
And just tell me, and if I go too fast, just say,
Not
hold on.
photos, camera. Okay.
Yep, to camera, go to camera.
Okay.
Then on the top line, there's formats, hit that. And I don't use this high efficiency one.
Oh.
I use the most compatible, which is JPEG.
That was a huge problem.
It is, you can't email it and you can't open it.
Yeah.
So, and I take pictures for work all day long. They're just shots of houses and gardens that we're working on. So I've thought about that I should use this high efficiency possibly just for work stuff, but I keep it simple, stupid, and just leave it at most compatible.
Okay, great.
This Apple Pro RAW thing is a new thing. I guess I have a 12 now. They didn't have that on my 7, I know, but I kept it on just in case. I will admit, buy a phone that has a lot of storage.
Oh, okay.
Because I need it that way for work.
Okay.
So I would make sure that you've got that. first. Let me see if I can get back here. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm trying to change my phone screen by using the computer, and that's not going to work. Down here, this is for video, records slow. We don't really need any of that. And preserve settings, if you hit that.
Okay.
This is just a helpful hint. I don't like that live photo. And if you're going to take a shot for a show, I would definitely turn that off. It's fun when you're doing your family and stuff, but that live photo adds a little bit of video to it.
Oh.
So I would just take that off. And I'll show you how to do that. But camera mode is preserve the last mode, such as video, rather than automatically reset to photo. It automatically, when you turn on your camera, it automatically goes to photo, which is great. If you decide that you want to do something like portrait a lot, I think if you use this camera mode and have it preserve that last mode, it will automatically go to that. Or if you're doing a lot of video, it'll go to that. Down here where it says live photo, preserve the live photo setting, I keep this tab on because I have live photo off on my camera. So every time I turn my camera on, the live photo is off. That way I don't make any mistakes. Okay, I'll go back. And then here, I just don't know if you have this composition, if you keep this grid on, that's a nice, it'll, when you turn on your camera, it gives you a nice grid that you can use to align things.
Okay.
And down here, there is smart HDR, and I leave that on. It does help with exposure a little bit.
Mirror front camera. Okay.
What is mirror front camera?
Yeah, because yours is on. You have mirror front on. I don't have mine on. What does that mean?
Mirror front camera. I'm wondering is if it, when you're on the selfie, things aren't backwards, possibly.
Oh, then I better put that on.
But I don't really know.
Yours is on, so I'm gonna put
It is
yours
on.
I'm gonna put mine on. There we go. Okay.
Yes, I do notice I have this view outside the frame, and I've seen that before. Like,
Two. Yeah.
let's see, I don't know if I can, not gonna work. But I've noticed that sometimes what I see is like what I'm going to take as my picture. I see other things outside of it, and it's kind of nice that I can kind of move it around. It's probably when it's square.
Okay.
When I'm doing a square format. Okay, so that would be settings for your camera. I don't really think if you go to photos that there's really anything here other than if you get into settings and then photos. I do iCloud photos, so everything is automatically uploaded.
Oh.
And I also download and keep my originals, but you could optimize the iPhone storage, and just that keeps your originals in iCloud.
Okay.
I just constantly have them uploaded to the photo stream. Whoops.
Well, that photo stream. Okay.
I think that's it. And then transfer to the Mac or the PC automatically.
Okay. Yeah, I have that. Okay.
Okay. So that's probably it for that. All right, so we'll go back and get out. And then,
Excuse me, Kathy, one question. Did you say to upload to PhotoStream?
I do, just so it's done automatically and I don't have to think about it. I do, let me go back to photos. Let's see.
Remind me at 3 p.m. to buy Carson a charger for her laptop.
Somebody needs to mute.
Oh, he needs to mute.
Who needs to mute?
Who is it? I can tell you who
Upload
it
to
is.
the photos.
I can tell you who it is.
I don't, the photo stream thing, I don't have an iPad. But if you did have an iPad and you were using the iPad plus your laptop or a desktop, that's probably, why you should have that upload to the photo stream. I just use iCloud from my laptop. I've been meaning to get an iPad because I think you can do some really cool stuff
Mhm.
with the apps on that. Okay. So we were talking about how you're emailing it and making sure you have the right size to email. Okay. So let's go, I'm gonna go to a photo. And
That's
one thing I will show you is, I don't know if you guys use albums.
Mhm.
So here's my library, of all my photos. And then if I go to album, you can go see all, and this will bring you down, and hopefully I will find that image I was just looking for. I try to I have a lot of work stuff, so I do that. But then if I'm working on a project for a show, I will put them all in one space. So I'm not going back and forth and trying to find it. Let's just pick one. All right, let's just pick this one. So I've got this on my phone. Found it in my album or in my list of photos in the photo stream. And I want to email it. Let's say, so you're gonna hit that lower left box with the arrow. And I will mail it to myself. And when I'm trying to play around with stuff, sometimes I just put P as the thing and then I email it. So as I press send, it's going to come up with this box, and it always comes up with this box, and says that my photo is 1.5 megabytes, actual size. So when you're emailing for shows, always use actual size, because you can see right here how it cuts it way down automatically. And that's where I think a lot of people get into trouble. And I know when my members are emailing me things for the newsletter or something, they do small and I can't see it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Which one do you do? I'm not sure. Are you saying actual size?
Yep. So just always hit actual size, and that will give you your full image size, file size.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you always hit actual size even if it's bigger than 1.5?
Yes.
I was just doing it on my phone along with you, and whatever picture I picked said 4.3, but still do actual size.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think for shows, it can be 1 to 5.
Okay.
And, if you had something let me see if I can find, ideally, I probably wouldn't, let's say you picked up a picture and it had, 7 megabytes, and you were sending it to someone and they said, no, it has to be from 1 to 5. I probably, you could just pick one of those other categories, like medium or large or medium, and see how it goes. I probably would size it first on my own, using preview.
That's what we need to figure out, is sizing your photographs in preview.
Okay, so if we're all good with that, just remember that thing there. All right. Okay, so then I'm going to get out of this, stop share this, and then I'll go to share preview.
Kathy, question, if you're sending a collection of images,
Do
Yep.
you also select actual size or do you choose to send them individually?
So that,
Send
it
them-
depends on the purpose. So if you're just doing it to your girlfriend because she wants images of, the last week's meeting, and they don't have to be, like for a newsletter or something like that, you don't need them to be 1 megabyte. They can be less than that,
Mhm.
but they can't be 25, gigabytes, tiny. So if I was doing a whole bunch, I probably would, you can try to email them, and if you have Gmail, it'll go into Drive,
Mhm.
and you could do it that way. I have just done it by groups, like here's 3, here's 3, here's 3. I haven't really shared it with iCloud. You could share an album on your phone to someone else and let them get into put them all into an album and share them that way. Right, let me put preview up. Okay, let me see if I can share this now. All right, for some reason, let me see. Oops. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? I have to stop sharing. Okay, hang on 1 second. Let me see. It's not letting me type. Okay. All right, let me try again to see if I can share this. Okay, here we go. All right, are you seeing preview now? Like a picture of
Yeah.
Solidago? Okay,
Yeah.
good. All right, let me move this down. So I'm gonna get rid of this too. Let's see. So you guys can see all of the Zoom controls too, right? On my computer, on my laptop. I just want to
Yeah.
get them out of your way. Okay. All right. So on preview, if you go to tools and where it shows inspector
Mhm.
here, a little box comes up on the side. And it includes things like, just the name and the type of image that it is and the size. Like this is only 1 megabyte.
Mhm.
If you press information, you can see that it was an iPhone 7 and taken a while ago. General, and then this EXIF can give you a little bit more information about sizing, like the dimension of it. So if you see pixel X and pixel Y,
Mhm.
you can see that, and you can just see that by the shape of the image that it's shorter rather than wider. It
Mhm.
doesn't give you inches. So, and then it's not a TIFF, so that doesn't really give you anything. So I just want to point out that it doesn't give you inches. It's just saying that these are the number of pixels you have. And if you have 2,400 pixels going up and 34 going across, that's a lot of information. So even though it's 1 megabyte total file size, that's still a lot of information in there. So that's this would probably print out okay as an 8x10. So if I wanted to adjust the size, so let's say for, so here I've got, you can look at the size of it at 72 and a resolution of 72, it's 30 inches wide and 22 inches high. But if we make this like 300, whoops, thing went away. It resampled it. I had these two down and it resampled the image on its own or with the computer. if you turn that off, let's see, it should work this way. Let's make it 600. This is when you change the size. See, it went from, it was 300 and it was 30 inches wide and 22 inches high. If I increase the resolution to 600, it changes the size.
Mhm.
Okay, so keep that resample image off. And let me see if I go back. I don't know if I can go back. There we go. Yeah, so it automatically comes up as 72 for the resolutions, pixels per inch. And that's where if I take this off, this resample and hit 300, it'll bring it down to a 7:5. So it's saying that at a 300 resolution pixels per inch, which is a good printing resolution, I can get a really good 7:5 out of this at 1 megabytes. Does that make sense?
But it's not 8 by 10.
It's not 8 by 10. So
Okay.
if I do 8 by 10 is, so that would be a width of 10 by 7.14. And then it makes my resolution 222.
So it's not as good.
Yeah, so ideally at 300, it's telling me with 1 megabytes, this makes a perfect 5:7.
Okay.
What's
Okay.
the,
If you had an image that was 4 megabytes, then you'd have many more, or 7, you'd have many more options. And in that, the article that Barbara and I wrote, there's a chart there that talks about image size and required for printing.
Mhm.
And if you look at that, you know, that kind of gives you just a scale to say what you can get.
Okay. So, okay.
All right. And I don't know whether or not, if you really wanted this to be an 8 by 10, you would, let's see here. You'd probably have to resample and you'd have to unlock this.
Mhm.
And then let's see what happens. If you look at the picture over here
Mhm.
on the left,
Mhm.
let's see if that,
Wouldn't that distort it if you change the proportion like the?
yeah, it probably would.
I think it does. So I think you would have to like go and crop it using
Yeah.
another program.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely.
So what if you went into your, if you have your photo on your laptop
Mhm.
and you go to edit the photo and you crop it to 8 by 10,
Yeah.
and then go back to preview and adjust the resolution, does that make sense?
So this is where I get a hard time with preview, using preview versus just going to Photoshop, because it's just so much easier with Photoshop.
Mhm.
But what you can do is if you're here, let's say, and you're going to print it,
Mhm.
and you could say, see how it has the white border? This is an 8 by 11 piece of paper.
Mhm.
But if I go to print it on an 8 by 10,
Mhm.
you can see that my image just is a little shy of
Mhm.
it. But then if you say 8 by 10 borderless, it's a narrow. So this, you still get some white.
Mhm.
This is when, for me, it's just easier to send it to somebody and have them print it. You know, I could scale it a little bit up. You know, it doesn't let you move it around though. So I have now, if I did 8 by 10 borderless, I've scaled it up a little bit, and that will print out and there won't be any white edges. Because if you're doing it on foam core, you
Mhm.
don't want any white edges.
So,
So-
but if we're sending our photos, say we are editing our photos and we're, oh, it doesn't matter. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say if we send it to, if we're gonna show a photo in a live show and
Yep.
it's required to be 8x10, if we did our image resolution at home on our computer, could we then email that photo actual size to our photo lab and have them print it 8x10, or does that not work?
Yeah, so see, I don't really mess with the resolution. I feel like if I've got a large enough file
Mhm,
for
mhm.
an 8x10, I should have a good enough resolution. So when
Okay.
I would order it online, the place that I forget what it was called, but you would have options and
Mhm.
it would show you, for example, if you use a DSLR, in a full frame, you actually get an 8x12 image.
Mhm.
So you have, if a show says you can only use an 8x10, that means I've got to crop something off, 2 inches off the end. And if you order it online and say, I need an 8x10, it gives you that option to move your image around and find out exactly where you want it cropped.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. That's where Photoshop is just, do this. Cause I find, this selection, I don't find that you can edit with preview. Like I want an 8x10, and you can see that my image is a little bit narrow. This one's a little bit narrow.
Mhm.
So I think that ends up being your printing side. And as long as you have a large enough file size, you should be okay.
Okay.
Hey, Kathy,
now-
can a husband of a garden club member ask a question?
Yeah.
This is Dean
Identify yourself.
This is Dean Miltimore. I'm Irene's husband. Does the JPEG format constrain you in terms of how much resolution you're going to have?
It depends on the camera. And if it's an iPhone, probably not. You have to think that if you have your iPhone out versus a camera, your iPhone sensor is it's like a ½ inch long, maybe. It's not that big. Whereas the sensor on a camera is the size of a slide. It's
Mhm.
huge.
Right.
So they give great pictures, and Apple does a great job. They do programs when you take your picture, they're processing it. It's not like it comes out raw, like a camera, a DSLR, you take a picture, it's all what you took. It's total raw. If you do a TIFF file, for example, it's all raw data. Apple processes it a little bit, I'm sure a lot, to make them all look really, really good. But again, going down to a sensor size, there is a limitation versus a full frame camera.
Okay.
A side note of, I was on the Garden History and Design Committee at GCA, and that's why they still, for documenting gardens, they won't let you go to the iPhone. It's
Yeah.
just, anyway. But
Yeah,
a JPEG is great. It is compressed slightly, and the more you email it and play, if you email it and it compresses it or changes it more. But
Well, thank you for that.
I think
I'll be quiet now.
I think clubs have had great success in using iPhone images in their shows. And it's the camera people have.
Right. The most important camera is the one you have.
Exactly. Yep.
I had a question, actually. The difference, because I noticed that all my photos now in my phone come out with the HEIC format. It's like the new universal format. And
Right.
how is that different than JPEG? I mean, JPEG historically, it's great for photos, but it depends on your application. So if you're posting something to a website or electronic media, it tends to be a little bit like not so crisp, especially if you have like type or something in your image where a ping or others HEIC file works better, but HEIC is not compatible with everything yet.
Exactly. We were just saying, that's why I don't use it,
Okay.
because it's just so hard, because it doesn't translate through all of the programs. And I was thinking of something else to tell you now. I can't remember. Are there any other questions, like general sizing? Because I think I was wondering if you guys use any apps for editing.
We
No.
started to use some different apps last year. We tried to get a little bit adventurous, and we had a judge competition where we were doing manipulated photographs. And so there
Oh,
were
fun.
a couple of different apps that we started to try and use. Of course, I don't remember what they were. Snap something or
Snapseed.
Snapseed.
Snapseed. And then there was
Yeah,
maybe
that's-
one other. And I mean, it was kind of fun, but I think we needed a lot more work in that. That's kind of pretty sophisticated stuff.
So I will show you just the, so if you're going into your your phones and you go to the edit, because this way, let's see here, and you do the crop. So at the top here, it has all these different sizes. And you can scroll through these. Different, and 4:3, 3:2, 4:3 is, I think that ratio, 10:8. That's your 10:8. So that is the other way to do your sizes. And it allows you to play around with it, to move it, like if you wanted to. Like if you made it narrow, like really narrow. So then you could save it. And then it's a different, I should go back. The other great thing is you can revert to the original.
Mhm,
Ah, look, see, my original was square.
mhm.
Okay. So if I go to crop it and go to the different sizes, and if I go to the 8:10, now I can turn it, portrait way or landscape way,
Oh,
and just
Interesting.
move it around.
oh, interesting,
Kind of looks better the other way,
interesting.
So that would be, I think if you had to say, I needed an 8:10 or a 5:7, that's probably what I would use.
Mhm. That's great.
Now, it would be interesting to see if I go, this is really big now.
Mhm.
Well, first of all, you know what I should do actually is cancel that. I'm going to just email this first to see the size, the original. Oh, see, look, the original is 15.9 megabytes.
Ooh. Mhm.
And by cropping it, because that's, remember with cropping, you're just slicing data off.
So you're
But this
making,
is way, see, if I wanted to give them this whole image, and remember we had that question about there was a limit between 1 and 5, I would just pick the large, probably send
Mhm.
it in.
and would
But
that,
I'm sorry.
no, would that alter the resolution?
No, to the large,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it would alter the resolution, but I don't think it would be a problem. We can look at that, but I think still it has a large enough data that it would be fine.
Okay.
I mean, if I was going to print this, I would want it to be the largest size possible. I would want it to be 15.9 megabytes,
Okay.
but I'm going to crop it because I don't like the size, the shape, if I don't like the original picture.
Hmm.
So if we edit that, let's see, go back to this and let's change the size to the 8:10.
Mhm.
Okay, and then we'll say done. And then we're going to email that. went down to 1.3.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it would be interesting, and I haven't done this actually, a good exercise to try it out on Photoshop and see the difference between cropping on the phone versus cropping on Photoshop to see what it does on your file size. And I could do that when we get off probably. And that could send it to you guys to see, because that's a big decrease in file size.
Mhm.
Let's see, get out.
Everybody following along? Anybody have questions?
I have a question about equipment. Kathy, you mentioned you have a iPhone 11 or
I have
12?
a 12 actually now, yeah.
And do you have any input about the range of differences you've experienced between
So
8 and
I
12?
yeah, I don't buy phones like crazy, like the next one that comes out. Like although I have to admit the 13, I thought, ooh, maybe I'll go get that. I haven't paid for this one all the way. I'll just trade it in. I normally don't do that. So I went from a 7. And when I was reading the reviews of the 10 and the 11, it didn't seem, the 7 was so good. I didn't think that I needed to bump up. But when the 12 came out, I thought, all right, I'm ready to jump up. And I've loved it. It has on the camera. Does anybody have the 12 or the 13? I'll show you what it does. It's kind of nice.
You're muted, Em.
I'm muted.
Emily's muted.
Oh, okay.
Was.
So I have the 12, I have the 12 Max Pro.
Yeah, and when you go to it, it has, oh, wait a minute. Oh, shit, here, let me.
Oh.
It has wide angle,
Yeah.
which is really helpful for me at work when I'm trying to get pictures of stuff. And then 1 times and 2 times. And that works out really well. Other than that, it has everything else is the same. Pretty much.
The lenses are all the same and everything?
They have 3 lenses, which allows you to have that wide angle.
I think I must have that, something near that, because I've got 3 lenses.
And then there's another little thing at the top, which helps with nighttime. They have a nighttime feature.
Yeah. Maybe I have that phone.
Yeah. Oh, and here, I'll show you at the top here. This is the autumn, taking off on the upper left. That's I keep my flash off. I never put that on. There's that raw option that you have with this one. And that's the live, which I don't like.
Which is the raw option?
Raw is right there on the upper right. And that might give you, that would be interesting to see. That gives me a bigger, should give you a larger file. If I try to nail this one more time, I wish there was an easy way to find the, oh, wait a minute, let me go back. When I went to mail it, it automatically put it in the email, and look, it says 25.4 megabytes. So if I take, that's just trying to get a lot of data. So let's say I take that, the camera, the raw off, I take the same picture and I email it.
The raw is one times?
No, raw, I guess it's, I don't know that it's true raw, like DSLR. Raw means total, everything's captured. There's nothing done to the image. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I took that raw off. And so Apple must have some way to give you more data. Like, I don't know. I'll have to look into it more. I really haven't used it that much.
Which is, wait, what's the raw button again? I didn't get that.
Okay, hang on, let me go back here.
Sorry, everybody.
No, that's okay.
I think it's on the newer cameras. It's not on all the phones, Bets.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I
if you
don't
have a
Yeah.
12,
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's on the 11, but at the top, there's, if you can see it on the top right, I'm pressing this on and off, raw on and off.
Yeah, I don't have that. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
I don't have that either, and I have the 12 Max Pro. I just have the live button.
oh, well, then you probably need to go into your settings, and under camera, there's a tab you can hit for raw.
Oh.
So let me
Okay.
go to this camera.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Format? No, yes. So settings, camera,
Mhm.
format, Apple Pro RAW. Click that on.
Mhm.
So it's settings, and then what
Yeah.
is it?
Camera. Go down to the section with the camera.
Pretty far down, Em.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like music, TV, photos, camera.
Mhm.
Oh, fancy me. I've never been there. Okay.
And then hit format.
Format. Okay. Oh, it's not on.
Yep, click that on.
Okay. And I want the high efficiency also?
I don't use that. I use most compatible because sometimes when you email that high efficiency, someone can't open it up.
Oh, okay.
So I don't use it.
All right, I'm changing that. Oh,
I think that's what converts it to HEIC or whatever it is to JPEG.
oh, really?
You turn off that high efficiency button
Yeah,
to most compatible. That
Yeah,
that is
that
a huge.
makes,
tool.
right.
Oh, you guys are so smart.
Well, it took us like 6 months to figure that out last year.
A mirror front camera, what does that mean? Mine was off.
Yeah, let me see about that. I think if if I turn it off,
I think it's a selfie thing.
yeah, I think it's a selfie thing, but although that doesn't really look any different to me. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. That'll be a question I'll have to answer later.
Looked it up and it says when the mirror setting is enabled, your camera snaps a photo that is your mirror image instead of flipping your image. as
Yeah.
the camera usually does. Many people believe that mirror selfies are more flattering than regular selfies.
Oh, we definitely have to have mirror on.
Yeah, maybe that's why I had it on.
I
Boom.
just turned it back on. Yes. very good.
I have a question, Kathy. I don't,
Uh-huh.
I'm wondering if my phone has it. I don't think it does, but I know that sometimes you can take a picture and then blur the background. Do you know how to
Yes.
do that?
Yes, so probably it does. Here, I'll go back. It's portrait.
Mhm.
To go into grab a picture?
Yep. So if you go to now there's a depth issue. I got to turn off this. Okay, there.
8 feet, I think.
Yeah, and also this isn't the best. I'm in my basement, so it doesn't really help here. My Diet Coke can. Let me see if that'll work. Okay. It's you can sort of see it in the background, but not really. So if I take just a regular photo, see how that's the lamp is clear.
Mhm.
If I switch it to portrait, it's not really. See how it got a little blurry?
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh,
Can you do that after the fact?
No,
Oh,
no. So it works pretty well, and I haven't. The new phone has this thing where it has natural light for portrait, or you can change things. I haven't really played with it too much, but what it does, and sometimes you'll see it works pretty well. The portrait thing works pretty well, but sometimes you'll see it, and if you zoom in, you can see that it's sort of cut out around the flower,
Mhm.
and it's not. It's trying really hard to be a DSLR, but it's not.
Mhm.
So the other way you can, if you have Snapseed, you go into Snapseed, let me see, let me just try to. I'll get a picture that I can find a picture real fast. My water heater that we replaced, all sorts of good things. Oh, here's a one of my members. She just got out of the hospital and she showed up at the nursery that I work at. I'm like, really? You just, if you go to tools, there's a blur. Let me see if I can find it. Blur.
Wow, that's cool.
There,
Wow.
lens blur. And the great thing about this is you can move it around. Like I can get her face and I can make it bigger. You can also twist it, make it more round.
Where do you
It
get
still kind of does the same thing as the Apple, but it gives you a little bit more control.
That's Snapseed.
Snapseed. So you can do this one after.
Oh, that's
How about, can you do one that does the whiteout? Do you know how to do that
Whiteout,
in the background?
meaning, I'm sorry?
Where you have the photograph is let's say it's a flower or something, and then the background is white. Or I know sometimes they do.
Oh, yeah. I think that you, that, I don't think Snapseed has that. Let's see here. I know what you're saying. I think you'd have to select the flower. Let's see here. No, wait, I want that one. Let's see, let's go up here. Like, this isn't the best one. Let's. So you're saying you want to take away all of the background?
Yes.
I do not think, I don't think Snapseed does that. Okay.
You can do it on your phone when you go into portrait,
Okay.
Okay.
and you'll see when it first comes up, you'll see natural light. And if you scroll on that, that's when you get the different lights.
Oh, I see. Okay. Studio.
So like a stage light mono, I think it does one. That's, I think that's what you're talking about.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah, cool. Thank you. I didn't know, I haven't really played with it yet.
Tell me that again. I didn't see. I was trying to do it and
That's unbelievable, honestly.
yeah, that looks neat.
So
Wow.
a camera, portrait,
Mhm.
stage light mono. Let's see that one, what this turns out. That one didn't, oh, that just. Oh, there you go. So is that what you were talking about?
Yes, but that one turned into a black and white.
Yes, let's see. Is there any way to do it?
That's cool.
That is really cool.
It's cool.
I was just wondering if there's a way to do a color. I still haven't figured out how to do even the black and white. I'm working on it though.
Yeah, that, when I do just stage light, that's stage light, so that's black.
Mm.
And that's with color, that's kept the color, right? That's stage light mono, high key mono.
That's so
All
cool.
this for a Diet Coke can.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love to do still life photographs. So lighting is so important and you have to have all these lights from different directions. And so that's very cool. Okay.
Question, as you set that up and you go to stage light, then do you hit the button to take the picture, or what do
Yep,
you hit to get it to drop in there?
No, you just, I moved it and then I just hit it. Now I did hold it steady. I also didn't, now I'm just gonna look at this. You know how when you touch your iPhone camera screen, it moves the light and the focus? You guys know if you want to take an image, so just a regular image, you're looking at a regular image, if you touch your screen, you see that little box with the little sun.
Mhm.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
And that's where, so automatically your camera phone focuses in the center. But let's say like you want a rule of thirds kind of setup, like I want this to be the charger there. And I want that to be my subject. So rather than having like the center of the photo in focus, I want this. You just touch it and then you know that there's a little sun there that you can move your finger up and down and it'll change the lighting. You can play around with that. But the portrait thing, I just turned the wheel for which lighting you wanted. And just press the shutter button and let it go. Now, why didn't that one do it? That's interesting. Maybe I need to further away. Doesn't look like you can change there we go. So I think on that portrait, to make it work, that stage lighting work, you've got to be a certain distance away.
Okay.
Otherwise, it just shows up like a photo. That's fun.
Really fun.
My girlfriend, Barbara Robinson, who wrote this book, paper, we said, this is what you do when you're waiting at the doctor's office. You play. You know?
Well, this has been amazing. Have you guys got any other questions or comments or?
Hi, Betsy, it's Julie. Hi, Kathy. Thanks
Hi.
so much. Just a couple of questions. The Snapseed app, do you use that on your phone or is it more of an editing app that you use on your laptop or your MacBook?
So you can't use it on your MacBook or laptop. As far as I know, you never could. It
Okay.
was just on the phone. And I play with that all the time.
Fun.
And there are a couple other apps that I play with a lot. But Snapseed is the one I would do a lot with. And the other thing, and this is like for another day probably, but there are, your phone is your camera, and there are apps you can get to edit, like Snapseed.
Mhm.
But there are apps you can get that will take hold of your camera and act as a camera. And
Really?
they have more things that you can do with it that mirror a real camera.
Like what?
Like I can show you real quickly. And I got nowhere to go. So if you guys need to go, just kick me off. But there's one called Camera Plus.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was saying, you touch the screen, and when your regular camera, you touch the screen and it gives you your focus anywhere. With Camera Plus, and I wish I had a flower or something. This is not really that great. You touch the screen and you'll see this purple box show up. And if you separate it, you touch it with your, you take your fingers and kind of scrunch them out like you're zooming out on something. You end up with two boxes. One's exposure and one is focus. So I can move this, whoops, shoot, let me get that back. I can move this exposure all around. So it makes a big difference.
What's the name of this again?
This is called Camera Plus.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I don't really have a great setup for you here.
Can you go back to your page on your on your screen and show us all the apps that you have so we can just take a picture of it?
Oh, sure, sure. I used to have it really well organized, and they've probably gotten around a little bit. So let's see. So I have Snapseed on the front because I use it when I'm playing around a lot. But on the second page here, I use Photoshop Express and Photoshop a lot. Colorama, one of these days when I have more time, that is a very hard program. It's not user-friendly. But Camera Plus is very user-friendly. I really like this because it has a good macro. Can really get down really close. And it's a great, like my camera is probably an inch away from that. So I love to use that outside. Let's see
Which
what-
app was that? Oh,
It's
the
called
Camera
Plus.
Yeah.
I'm
You've
not
got
sure.
2 Camera Pluses.
I do. One of them was newer, one of them was older, and I need to delete one of them.
Oh,
There's a Camera Plus Pro that costs $8 a month.
Yeah, so I don't do any, I do free stuff.
Okay.
Filter Storm is just one of those that just has, effects and things that you can play around with. It's just one that I probably loaded up and I've just played with it, but I haven't printed anything out from it. And brush strokes is the one, and you can use this on your, let's get a picture, iPad too. And I know if you watch the study conference last year, Laura Simpson.
I watched it.
She uses brush strokes all the time.
Okay.
And that allows you to paint with it, and you can do all these things with it. So that's kind of fun. The other one that's really fun is Color Splash. And so this one allows you to mask stuff, and I have to admit I haven't used this in a while, but it allows you to, well, actually this is a black and white, so it won't work. But if you had, how they'll take a photo and they have like the flower on the hat is bright red, but they turn everything else black and white. So there, so you'd have to do it better than this, but see how you can, it turns everything black and white, and then as you run your finger over the image, it makes that color stand out. Again, this isn't the best picture to show you that, but that's a fun thing to play with. This one's Color Splash. And that makes it, Color Splash makes a nice class and a schedule.
Okay.
Let's see, I used to use, let's see, wait a minute. There were some other ones, but I haven't, that's not. I think they've all gotten mixed in here, or like this one. This is a fun one to when you're taking pictures.
Moku?
Yeah, it's Moku, M-O-K-U Hanga, H-A-N-G-A. This is just fun to play with. It automatically puts all this stuff on it, and it has a lot of different options. It's just
I
fun.
think we're gonna have to have
Yeah.
another session with you. Kat.
Yeah, this is fun to play with. I should be more organized if I'm doing that with you guys.
We would
Oh,
love
it's
to.
really great. Yeah, there's been some really cool stuff. Thank you.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. You're
I'd
welcome.
love to do another one on manipulated photography at some point.
Oh, I would love that too. Those looked really cool, those apps.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, it depends. The person. So I don't do a lot of manipulated photographs. I mean, I play around with them, but I don't use them for photo shows. But I know that there's a lot of cool stuff out there, and it's fun to play with.
Yeah. Well, thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
This has been fantastic and we really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
I'm happy. If you have any questions, just send them to me. I'm happy to figure it out because I like doing that myself. But hopefully, I'm sure you guys will have a fun show. You'll have to send me your pictures.
We will definitely do
You can
that.
test. You can try it out.
All right. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Kathy.
Bye. Nice to meet you all.